Hey guys, I'm here with Austin. Austin is an INFJ in Myers-Briggs or an IEI in Socionics. I'm very excited for this interview. Excited is an understatement. Austin and I are friends, and it's crazy because I feel like there's a lot of synchronicities with us in general. We are like less than a month apart, age difference, and we're both Leos. We're both INFJs, IEIs, and Socionics. There's just so many different things I feel like that are just really aligned. We both grew up in the South, or I guess you grew up in Florida, so. But I was born
Yes.
in Florida. We were both born
Mm,
in Florida.
yes.
So there's like a lot of stuff. Austin and I talk quite a bit. Um, so at any point, if you guys have any questions, but we have some juicy topics to discuss. But before we get into those topics, I'm going to do what I do in every single interview and have you introduce yourself really quickly for those of you that don't know.
All right. So hello everybody. My name is Austin. I am from Florida. I'm 27 years old. I run a YouTube channel named Ascension Tarot. I pretty much do astrology and tarot on there, and also spirituality on there. Um, you can check out my channel Astro Ascension Tarot on the link below. Also, I am an INFJ and an IEI in Socionics. Enneagram type is 9-1. Social self-preservation, and my tri-type is 9-6. And also I am on the autism spectrum. For those that don't know, I'm more open to sharing about that in that way. So that's who I am, and also I am working on my own oracle deck, and I'm also a musician, as can be shown in the background. Amps, keyboard. If you guys can't see that, but I have a keyboard right next to me. I have a guitar next to me. I am a musician. Been a musician for about maybe, I would say, 9 years now. With that, so that's a plus here. So glad to be on here.
And I'm excited to have you. I feel like, so this is a long time coming. I mean, I've obviously had you in videos before, but I mean, you've supported my channel even before you got into YouTube, and I don't know. And we became friends out of just like kind of having conversations. And I mean, it's been like at least 2 years since we've known each other at this
Yes,
point. So
yes, that is correct.
yeah, I'm excited.
Yes.
Okay, so let's jump into things. Again, if you guys have any questions at any point, leave it in the comments. But okay, what were you like as a child?
So that's pretty much me having to go back in the past. But what I was like as a child, I was quiet. I was shy. I was emotional. Um, I was emotional. I got into crying fits when I was a child. I used to pretty much like cry over small things. I was pretty reactive as a child. Also as a child, I was pretty intelligent. Um, and psychic in a way, because I pretty much had like visions into the spiritual realm. I was seeing like ghosts. I was seeing like what you would see in the spirit world. Um, with that, um, I I was I started school a year later, so I took 4 years of preschool as a child, and I started well 5 years of preschool as a child. Um, so so I pretty much started kindergarten when I was at the age of 5. Um, pretty much on the cusp of age 5 to age 6 is when I started primary school. um that was kindergarten, but I was like, I wanted my parents wanted me to do 5 years of pre-K or preschool, um in that matter. I do remember that as a child I was pretty much shy, introverted. I I didn't want to I didn't want to be. I remember on my first day of school, I was like I pretty much did not want to go because it was like a completely new experience to me, and I was not really open to to any new experiences as a child. But um, but I did make a lot of friends. I did make a lot of friends in school, especially during my earlier years of school. But 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 my parents noticed something about me, noticed something different about me. Um, was and it was that, I was like I was operating a lot differently, um, from a normal child, from that is somebody that is somebody that could be considered normal. Um, but but I but this is what led to me being diagnosed on the spectrum. So I got diagnosed. I got diagnosed on the spectrum when I was 4 years old. So at an earlier age, and also in school, I wouldn't say that I had a good time in primary school, nor would I say I had a bad time in primary school. More like it was in the middle. It was pretty much balanced. And the reason why I say that is, the reason why I say that, is because when I was in school, I was treated a lot different. I was treated differently. I was treated differently among other normal students, and I remember as a child, I got I got I got put on the individual educational plan, when I first started school. Um, so pretty much I was assigned a paraprofessional, somewhat like an assistant. So I pretty much had somebody that was an adult follow me around at school, and that really was a blow on me, because I wanted to be independent. I wanted to be a normal child. I wanted to do the normal things that a child does, and be left alone. But that wasn't the case during my earlier years in school. So I pretty much had paraprofessionals all the way up into high school, to my earlier years of high school. But that really kind of did something to my status, with other students. But I did have a lot of friends in school. I did have people that I could talk to, and do things with. I did have like a normal child. I did have a best friend. So I did everything that a normal child would do, except for I wasn't athletic. I wasn't athletic in that way, because 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 of me. I had a couple. I do have a couple of physical defects as well, because like I have a lack of physical strength, and that's the reason why I wasn't athletic in that way. But I did pick up hobbies that were pretty much athletic, but not really in that sense. I did as a child pick up doing go-kart racing, as a child, and being interested in motorsports, and other things, particularly NASCAR, is what I was interested in. Primarily what I was interested in as a child.
Oh my gosh, that's such a Florida thing.
Yeah.
That sounds like a Florida redneck.
Yes.
I'll be the NASCAR.
Yeah.
I'll go with you the. I don't even know what they call them. Oh my gosh, Austin. Yee! I'm just kidding. Okay, go on.
Yeah. So yeah, I was pretty much that child that was pretty much. I was intelligent. I was smart, but at the same time, I was a bit slow. I was a bit slow to understand how the mechanics of the class works. That's why I was a bit slow in doing tests. And that's why I got placed in the IEP. I remember as a child when we were doing these tests in Florida. They're called the F cats, or the so those are the Florida standardized tests. So so I pretty much succeeded the F cats until like until middle school and high school started coming in. I pretty much just like tanked in the F cats because I really didn't understand it, and those standardized tests, I felt like when I failed those standardized tests, I was punished. And the way that I was punished is that I was taking away electives, and they placed me in remedial courses, such as like intensive reading, intensive math, and those like that, like that. I really didn't have any. I really didn't have any electives from 7th grade until 10th grade. I had one elective in 10th grade, which was I think it was I had digital design in 10th grade, or my sophomore year, or my sophomore year of high school. So that was pretty much my only elective in my sophomore year of high school. But then as I got into 11th grade, it got a little better, where I got more electives. I started taking French, and I started taking web design when I was a junior in high school. So as a high schooler, so pretty much I went through like 2 different locations at 3 different schools. So in middle school, I went to a school that was not in the hometown that I was in, but it was a magnet school. I did get into a magnet school for middle school. But in high school, so pretty much when they were telling me about my high school options, I wanted to go to the other school, and then they told me that if I go to that school, they would place me in classes where I wouldn't be with normal students, where they wouldn't integrate me with normal students. So what happened was that I was pretty much alienated. I felt alienated by that statement, by those people that said that. But so I pretty much begrudgingly went to my went to the other school, the one that I was districted in. That was close to home, and I didn't want to go to that I didn't want to go to that school because I heard so many things about that school that I was like pretty much afraid of it. And also my older sister went to that school, and she said it was hell. So I was pretty much like fearing what would go wrong at that school. But but at the same time, it was okay. But I went to this school, and I did make a lot of friends with that, and it was a whole new scenario for me. But I chose to go through with it. So yeah, that was pretty much me as a child.
Wow. That was an in-depth answer.
Yes.
That's interesting. I don't know if other people know this. I think I've told you this before, but I used to have an IEP as well. But that was because of so this was like this one I undiagnosed for a while. Is I was dyslexic, so I had a lot of trouble. But the reason why I was placed under it primarily was because I had really horrible anxiety attacks, like to the point that I had to be on like in an IEP. But the thing was, I didn't take any kind of. I mean, in elementary school, I had to take like an extra reading class, but when I got older, like it wasn't like I was put in other classes for it. It just was sometimes when I was taking tests, especially like there were certain tests that I really was never good at, like multiple choice tests in general.
Yeah.
Especially being dyslexic, I feel like I just would get so overwhelmed by those tests. And I don't know if other people can relate to this, but like with the little A, B, C, D, F, whatever is on there, I would all the time, like even in college, I would accidentally fill in the wrong row or like skip, or like if I needed to go back. It just was such a horrible experience for me. And I also just like it took me so much longer to complete tests and stuff. Well, not all the time, but like for a lot of things. But regardless, like I can I feel for you, Austin, in the sense that like even the times that I had to be pulled out of class for like taking a test because it was so overwhelming, um, I just felt like everybody was staring at me, and like it was like the other kids judged me. They didn't know what I was doing. They had no idea. And it was almost like, and I had very little experience with these kind of teachers, but my experience that I did have for the most part was really negative, is like the special education teachers. They would group everybody together, like no matter what their disability was, if it was a learning disability, if they were neurodiverse, whatever it was, they would put all those people together, and it was like they kind of just treated them like trash, I felt like, especially looking at
Yeah.
it from the outside, because I wasn't quite like, I was only really taken out for like tests, but it wasn't always like, sometimes, I mean, I think people don't really understand like how often I would have anxiety attacks. It happened, if it didn't happen every day, it happened like at least a few times a week, where I would, and I don't know if anybody's had like a panic or an anxiety attack, and it just was like, it was like I was out of control. Like I couldn't control the crying, I would hyperventilate. And I also relate to you when you said that you were pretty reactive as a child. I was very mellow, like very introverted, but at the same time, I would react. I actually was interviewing an INTJ last night. His name is Gabriel, and I talked about it in this interview, but it it's funny because a lot of people comment on this on my videos that I'm very like unemotional or whatever, but that was like me. That's something that I've had to train over the years so that I wouldn't like as a coping mechanism and not reacting to things, because I used to be so reactive like as a child up until the age of like 18, 17 or 18 years old. I would cry. If I saw someone like in, I would be moved so easily by people in public that like there would be so many things that I would like inappropriately cry at. Um
Mm-hmm.
if someone asked me, "Are you okay?" That was like my trigger word. Like if someone asked me that, it was really difficult for me to not cry. And so it's just really interesting when people comment on that, but there's something really messed up with the education system in general, and it's like it's really upset. It was kind of upsetting to hear your experience, kind of almost putting you in. You're like they're just like, oh, I just don't want to deal with you. You're different, so I don't want to deal with you. That's
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. I don't know. I have so many things, but I was told, um, which when you have an IEP, you have like meetings that you have to do yearly,
Yeah.
and I used to do those meetings as well. And um, I was told, so this is, I mean, I've talked about this before. Sorry that this is kind of a tangent, but there's so many things to unpack from your childhood that like I so correlate with. Um, when So in high school, or like when I graduated from high school, I was given like a packet with my IEP, like my files, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was told that I could have an IEP in college. I didn't take that because I didn't want to be treated differently. I didn't, and I was my thing was to the point, it was really the anxiety. Obviously, it has a lot to do with the dyslexia, that like the trouble reading, the trouble like, you know, on standardized tests, I would have, even though I didn't really, it wasn't the same experience in the sense that I took normal classes. I wasn't, my electives weren't taken away from me, things like that. But, what's it called? Yeah, I was given my documents and they estimated my IQ at, I believe it was 90. They estimated my IQ. And they did this when I was like in either early middle school or late elementary school. And these were people that I had never taken an IQ test at that point. These were just the special education people or whatever. I'm not really sure who it was that just did that estimation. Come to find out, like, when I was 21, I took an IQ test for the first time. My IQ is actually almost double that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like clearly I was very different than a lot of people there in more ways than one, but like it just, I grew up thinking that I was stupid. Like, even though I knew I wasn't stupid, I
Exactly.
was treated
That's
like I was stupid. And
exactly. That's how I felt. That's how I felt. That's how I felt as a child. I remember getting those same packets. They said my IQ was like close to 95, and it really put like a it really didn't do me well when I was first going into college, and it just I took an IQ test, and my IQ came out as like 120 or 130. So So they told me they estimated that, and it's just so messed up, the way they treat us, the way they put us into the way they put us into boxes, the way the educational system is, and something needs to desperately change. Something needs to have that transformative change, and I feel like this is within knowing neurodiversity. People need to understand that people aren't neurotypical. There is no. So you can have the person that is neurotypical, and they succeed, versus the people that aren't neurotypical, and they struggle to succeed. And that's how it felt for me. Like, I was pretty much set up for failure because of what they were doing. And this is in term. So I don't want to get into much politics here, but Florida is mainly a Republican state. We've had Republican governors, and these standardized tests were the Republican way of saying that, oh, yeah, your child sucks. Neurodiversity sucks. So yeah.
Well, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I feel like there needs to be transformative change with that.
Yeah. Well, and actually, I would not say that it is. I personally wouldn't push it on conservatives. And I wouldn't. So it stems back to our lovely president, Woodrow Wilson. Woodrow Wilson, I haven't really talked about this. So I was in college. I was an international affairs major. That's what I got my degree in. But I am almost like 85% done with a history degree. So I studied history. I took a lot of different history, especially like Eurasian history, and like obviously American history and different things like that. And I took a different history on like just our presidents and like politicians and different things. And Woodrow Wilson was one of the kind of like the creators or like proprietors of our modern education system. And one of the things, and I might be getting this wrong, I don't remember everything like verbatim, but he basically said that the education in the US, the education system in the US is meant for factory workers. It's like an assembly line for those factory workers, because at the time that's what we were just out of the Industrial Revolution. We were getting into most people had those kind of jobs, and college or a liberal education was only for certain people, only meant for certain people, and that was a very small percentage, and that's how he wanted it to be. And just people in that time, and like, I mean, obviously Woodrow Wilson isn't the only person for that, and he was very racist and all this other stuff. Like, I would actually say that Woodrow Wilson, even though he did create the League of Nations, obviously that failed and it became the United Nations. I'm not going to get into like all of that, but he is one of my most despised presidents. Like, I really do not like Woodrow Wilson. in what he did in his time. And he is, and I, again, wouldn't blame it just on him, but he is one of the proprietors for the modern education system. And it just really grinds my gears. I don't know how the education system's going to be reformed, but there's something that needs to be done. And it's like, there's a part of me, and I've like thought about this so many times, like there's a part of me that kind of wants to go back to school, like go back to see those teachers that like mistreated me or mistreated other kids, like just kind of talk to them as an adult. Because when I was a child, I was like, first of all, like I basically lived under a stigma um for a lot of my life, thinking that people thought I was stupid. Like that was just like how I felt. Like I felt like people were always constantly judging me and like they thought that I was stupid, because it was really a lot of the teachers, not like my normal teachers like in class. It was really those, I don't know. I mean some teachers, but it just was really messed up. And like I won't blame it completely on those teachers. Um but yeah, and that's partly why, like, before the pandemic, I actually applied to go back to school to become a teacher, a middle school teacher, and I ended up not fulfilling that. I ended up doing like coding and stuff, going back to do that. But there's a part of me that really wanted to be a teacher, or at least teach in some capacity, because we need more educators that are understanding of differences in people.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with you on that. Like, um, I've had some inklings of being a teacher, um, but but it's really not for me, because I feel like I'm not really that good with children, but I'm getting better, at it. Um, so yeah, this is so I do so when so yeah when I was in college, I pretty much started with a computer engineering degree, but that really didn't work out, because I was getting into classes where I didn't understand what to do, um, because there was a lot of things involved, and I felt like I was because I felt like because I felt like it was gonna that so one of the courses in computer engineering is discrete mathematics, which is completely like a BS course. Um, and I didn't like that. I didn't like that course. And so I pretty much just like I failed twice on that on those um on those courses. And I pretty much just like I pretty much just like gave up on it. And so now I'm not in school. I'm I'm pondering whether I do want to go back, but I'm going back but I want to go back under a completely new degree, more so on the human services, on the human services, like getting a bachelor's in human services, because because I feel like my soul's purpose my soul's purpose is to help people, is to help them to be at their best, to reach their highest potential. So that in a way is why that in a way is why I got into MBTI, Socionics. This was the gateway, for me, because I felt like my soul's purpose is to understand people and to help people, and because of how fractured I was, with my childhood, I wanted to help people, that were similar to me, that the system considers similar to me, and just like help them to be themselves. And I do want to make an impact on how this educational system is run. I have gotten nudged to run for public office, because of that, because I wanted to do stuff for neurodiversity, and make it so that other companies cannot discriminate against neurodiversity, which I feel like there's a lot of companies that still do to their employees, that are neurodiverse. So that's what led me to get into astrology and tarot, later on, after MBTI, Socionics, and Enneagram, is because it's my soul's purpose to understand people, and to guide people, because we need guidance. We need lighthouses. We need lighthouses into the world, for people to follow, when the world we see is dark, and discriminatory of people that are different. You see it on the news with racism, ethnic hatred. There is this R word that is being thrown out, just for fun, and that word is retard. I don't like that word. I don't like when that word is used. I'll sometimes admonish people that would use that word, because it's not something that should be thrown out into the world. I mean, I remember coming across last year. I remember, either it was last year or the year before last year, but there was this TikTok challenge, called the autism challenge, or whatever, the what they were doing was that they were pretty much making fun of autistic people, mainly from the side of low functioning autism. And I pretty much just like got really disgusted by that. I made like a 2-page rant of that on Twitter, and people agreed with me, and then TikTok like took it down. They took down all that. They took down all that they took down all that hatred, all that mocking with that. So yeah, this world has much more to do when it comes. We're not there yet. We're not there yet on on accepting neurodiversity.
Okay, so Austin, I just want to, sorry, just a pause. So there's a few people that have asked different things about neurodiversity. So one, people want to know what neurodiversity is, and two, people want to know what does it mean to protect people who are neurodiverse from discrimination.
So neurodiversity. The term neurodiversity is that people that are is accepting people that are not neurotypical, like people that are autistic, people that have ADD or ADHD, people that have learning disabilities, people that have like mental illnesses that people do not understand. So that's what neurodiversity is like the acceptance of people that are not that don't think quite like the people that are neurotypical, that act like they're like the people that are neurotypical. So neurodiversity is all about acceptance. It's all about accepting people that are different from others. I mean, sure, they're a hard puzzle piece to fit into the world, but they fit in. They fit into this world. They serve a function. We serve a function. We can do all things. We can do as much things. Neurodiverse people can do as much things as people that are not neurotypical. So it's important to accept people that aren't neurotypical, and I feel that's why I kind of shut it out. I was pretty much like ashamed of what I was going through, what I was going through as a child, because it's pretty much because autism is so misunderstood and put on a stigma in the world. And I feel like the mainstream media sometimes makes it worse, because they portray people that aren't neurotypical as something different, something different than what I go through. So yeah, the world need to get better here, and protecting people that are neurotypical is that what we should do is that we should like reform the IEP plan to where it's more accepting, to where it's more like to where it's more positive, not really in the negative sense, like say hey you're dumb, or hey your IQ is at 94, or your IQ is at 70, or something like that, like treat you like you're dumb. The IP should do something differently. It should be more of like something that builds you up, not tears you down. And I feel like that IEP teared me down because I wanted to be independent. I wanted to be like the rest of the I wanted to be like the rest of the people. Um for them to say that I couldn't go to that school because I couldn't, for them to isolate me into people that are similar that are put into ESE, like that was completely wrong. That was completely uncalled for myself. You're not doing the world good. You're just being like the world, where you're just like putting them in boxes and like, hey, I don't have to deal with them. It's not helping people. It's more like hurting them. It's hurting their ego with that, and that's how I felt, and it kind of put me a little lower on the popularity at school because of that, and because I wanted to be seen. I wanted to be heard. I wanted to be heard as a child. I wanted to be heard in high school. I wanted to go to all the dances, um but yeah, it just sucks. It just really sucks what we go through in the world, um in terms of education. Like, really make it a little better for ourselves.
Yeah. And I mean, again, we had different experiences because I mean, I had anxiety. So I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression at the age of 12, which is fairly young to have that diagnosis, because I was put on like some pretty hardcore medicine for that age, which I was on Zoloft, which it came out that in later years that you really shouldn't put children under the age of 18 on that medication, which I was only on it for like 3 months, and then my mom pulled me off of it, because it just wasn't helping. It was making things worse.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, and having dyslexia, it's like I also felt like, you know, I wanted just to be left alone as well. But I was a bit different in the sense that I wanted to be like, I mean, it wasn't the same experience. So it just was like I wanted to be left alone. Like I didn't want to be picked on. I didn't want to be bullied. Like I was bullied a lot for being different, in the sense that I'm not, I mean, I don't, we've talked about this, but I don't think, I mean, I don't know if dyslexia classifies as neurodiversity, or not. And it's, a lot of people are dyslexic. It's a pretty high percentage of people that are dyslexic. But I definitely was very introverted, and I really liked people, and I really got along with people, but at the same time, I wanted to just be left alone because I would be bullied for being different, being quiet,
Yeah.
being sensitive.
Yeah.
And so that's also why, like, again, that's why I've come to the point, like, a lot of my facial, like, lack of facial expression comes from, some of it is very natural, but some of it is, like, trained over time because of wanting to not come off as reactive all the time. Definitely my body language and stuff. Yeah, so it does count. Um, yeah, I thought so. But yeah, anyways, so it's just a different kind of spectrum because um obviously with autism it's way more obvious to people that something's different about you than like with me,
Yeah.
unless, um I definitely was never super good at spelling, and speaking trips me up sometimes, but I kind of wanted to get more into the topic of like you discovering your personality, um, kind of figuring out personality theory, and like how that journey looked for you.
All right. So, so I got into so I got into MBTI and Socionics at late age, particularly around 25, 24, 25 years old. Um, I was pretty, so I came across this website called 16 Personalities. Don't want to um don't don't want don't want to mention that website. um so I took the test on 16 personalities, and the first result I got was ENFJ. Um so I went through thinking that I was an ENFJ for a while, but then something came up where I was like, wait, I'm not an ENFJ. I don't have that strong of FE for me to. I'm home. I'm leaving. So I really didn't resonate with ENFJ as much, because I came across people that were ENFJ, and it really didn't so some of them I resonated with, but yeah, I was but yeah, I was not really an ENFJ. And I came across this server, this typology server on Discord. Came from Megan's group, um, which which was personality typology for self growth, or something like that. So I came across this Discord server because there was another person that was uh, that was advertising for that, and it was a cat here. So I joined cat server, and I started regurgitating more knowledge about typology, more knowledge about myself. So after that I got typed as IEI in Socionics, or and INFJ in MBTI. So both of those I didn't want to be typed with, because I related so much to them that it was painful. That it was painful for me to resonate with. Alongside of IEI. So pretty much being typed as IEI or an INFJ was pretty much like a death sentence to me. I mean that's a little dark to say there, but hey, we're betas. We embrace the dark.
It's beta, bitch.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of it was like, yeah, I had to resonate with it and go with it, with that. And then later on I got into Enneagram. I first mistyped as a 2-wing 1, core 2-wing 1, but actually I'm a 9-wing 1 in Enneagram, but still have the 2, still have a 2 fix, and also having a 6 fix. I did mistype as having a 1 fix, because in a way that I am a perfectionist. I want to do things right. I sometimes struggle with doing things right because of that polar TE. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much my my typology journey. But yeah, shout out to you, Kat, for if you're watching this, and shout out to you, Kat, for watching this, for typing me as an INFJ, for getting me on the right track.
Is Kat watching this right now?
I don't know.
Well, if you are watching it, hey Kat, I would love to interview Kat. I've had very little interaction with her in general, but it would be really interesting to interview her.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll reach out to her and see. There's a lot of, by the way, side note, you guys can email me at pucokie2@gmail.com, and I will send you the Calendly link, or I think I have the Calendly link in a different what's it called, area on my channel, but I'm gonna probably start linking that Calendly link. The issue with that is some people I do want to correspond with. Just for the record, everyone, this is kind of like a little aside. When it comes to the interviews, I'm only going to do live interviews with people that I have talked with before, like especially video chat. Because I used to do these interviews all the time, like excessively. And it would always be live interviews, and it would always be like me meeting them, like, and then less than 5 minutes later going live with people. And that was, even though I feel like there's a lot of really good conversations that came out of it, it was also really stressful. And there was a few, most of them were good, but there was a few of the interviews that I did. One in particular that I like automatically took down after it, which I've only done that once. But some of the interviews where I was very uncomfortable, even though maybe it wasn't like I didn't really show it. That's part of the whole like trying to mask my emotions. Just trying to like not make certain people uncomfortable, even though I'm uncomfortable in the situation. But anyways, you guys can send me an email at pucokie2@gmail.com. I know that there are people that probably have tried to get in contact with me before. I am checking my emails now. There was a period of time I did not check those emails or just didn't respond to people, but we are up and running again. Things are on the up and up with these interviews, so just kind of a disclaimer. Also, if you guys haven't already done so, please check out Austin's channel. And his channel is all about astrology and tarot card reading. And we haven't gotten really into this, but Austin is a phenomenal astrologer. Even though he has not really been studying astrology for that long, like considering the amount of astrology like knowledge that you have in such a short amount of time, like, is pretty impressive. And like anybody that's had a reading from him before, like of their chart, he's very extensive about it. And like I know that not everybody believes in astrology, and that's fine, but it's very interesting. Also, I don't know why I'm playing with this like lipstick thing, but another thing, yes, the interviews do not cost money to do. I did not charge Austin. Austin, let's pretend I didn't charge you $200 to be on this interview. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. I'm not certain people out there in the typology community. Not calling out anybody in particular, but I know some people do charge to do interviews. I personally, oh my gosh, Savage Studio. I'm not going to say your comment, but you are very much right about that. But that wasn't what it was called. That person was in too. It is something on that lines, but it's a different word. Anyways, what was I trying to say?
Jonathan.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. So yeah, that's a whole different discussion. But yeah. So also Austin is an admin on my Discord, which these are some things that I'm going to do in the future. I'm just trying to get my life together. I do work a full-time job. I'm trying to get back into the swing of things with interviews. We do have a Discord. The Discord right now is a closed Discord. I'm going to open it up once I release a Patreon. The Patreon will be like, at the base level, will be $1 a month if you want to support me. And you can also have access to the Discord. That's a really fun community. But anyways, nobody on the Discord right now pays, and those people are going to be grandfathered in. As far as typing services, I've also had people ask me if I would do typing services. Even though I've really gone back and forth about this, I know that there's a lot of people online that do typing services. And I know that like some people would probably find this, what's it called? I don't know. If I ever do typing services, I really want them to be like affordable. I don't want them to be like some other creators that I've seen out there. I'm not going to charge $500, $2,000. Those are real prices that a certain creator out there charges. Someone out there that is infamous. And there's other people that charge like a certain amount. I'm not MBTI certified. I've definitely thought about doing it just for the paper. I mean, I feel like I would learn something, but eventually maybe I will get some certification. So I just want to be upfront about that. I have studied this stuff since I was 16. More so like I really got into it once I was like 19 or 20. again, sorry that this is like this weird intermission. But there's a few things I need to say. And basically, I will release a typing service at some point because so many people have asked for it. But it's going to be probably different than what some other people have done. And I don't really know what other people have done for their service, but I may have like different tiers for it. At the very like lower level, or kind of like something that's like going to be very affordable, I want to do something where maybe just like a consultation, like trying to, if you have an idea of what your personality type is and you're just trying to get more clarification, maybe I'll do something like that. And I don't know, it's just all dependent. And also, when it comes to Patreon, part of the reason why I have not released a Patreon yet, even though I do have one, I haven't released it to the public, is like, I'm not really sure what I would offer apart from my Discord. And I mean, I definitely could make like little postcards or something to send out to people. So that's also something, if you guys are interested in like what kind of tiers you would like to see and like what kind of things you would want to see in that. I think that answered a lot of the questions that I've been seeing recently, but yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna get back into the interview. So when it comes to personality theory, what do you think you've like taken away the most about like discovering that you were an INFJ slash IEI? And like, I mean, I relate to the point of not like wanting to be that type, almost repelling against it. But once you kind of like were like, okay, this is me, I need to just realize that, there's certain challenges I may have and that my personality, what was that like revelation, and what have you done with that knowledge?
What I did with that is that I used it for myself to grow, for me to really work on the areas that I am weak in, like like uh like SE, like doing SE stuff. I started doing doing more of that, um doing more of that, and using it a lot more. Um so 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 as a person, I struggle to take initiative at times, and and that's in due to the low SE. So I learned to start taking initiative, um, more. It also it also it also with the it also this is also with the Enneagram, the Enneagram stuff. So I I do I do I do I have been working on getting myself out there more, get myself into the foreground. I've had a couple I've had a couple friends that helped me to do that, helped me to get me, because that was like a childhood, that was like a childhood, um a childhood wound. I wasn't really seen as I wasn't really seen as a child, um which which is which is what I see in my chart with Chiron and Leo, is that I wasn't much, I wasn't much seen as a child, but But I learned to get myself out there, to get over that fear of not being seen. So that's what led me to create my channel, Astro Ascension Tarot. Is that so? Before I was doing that, I was doing typology videos, but they weren't really reaching out. They weren't really reaching out. So I felt like I wasn't. I felt like that was like I was like a blow to myself. So I felt like I felt that I was having imposter syndrome with that, because I felt like I wasn't really up to it. I wasn't really up to it with that, because because it really didn't resonate. I felt like I was taking I felt like I was in a false position of being an authority figure for that. So that's why I completely abandoned doing the typology videos and started doing a whole new route, like doing the astrology, doing the tarot. And pretty much after that, my channel has become a success. I have 570 subscribers, compared to when I first started, it was like 22 subscribers. And now I'm getting like triple digit views on my live streams. So I felt that learning my personality type, learning what I'm strong in. So I felt like astrology and tarot is what really is what was really compatible to my strengths. So I just learned to get rid of the imposter syndrome and do something differently with my channel. Is and do to learn about myself, learn about my personality, with that. So that's how I pretty much got into that.
So, I mean, this is a question that you wanted to talk about before we like got into the interview. But what was it like, or what is it like being a feeling type as a male?
So for myself, it's like I'm a whole different breed. I'm like a whole different version of a male, of a man, that people, that most men under one form of masculinity see. So so as a extroverted feel as a male with FE or emotions, I'm more sensing to the energy around me, to the emotions around me, that it kind of makes us what other people, kind of makes me look a little more soft in that way, because I am empathetic. I am understanding with that energy, with me being a male feeler, and I feel like society really outcasts male feelers, in a way. So in society, they tell boys that they can't be emotional. They can't cry. They can't do other things, that that others can't. And I felt, and in terms, it's like, this is toxic masculinity talking, is that they sometimes see us as like somebody that is like weak, soy boys, or pussies, like that. But that's an insult.
I feel like soy boys get the puss sometimes.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So I just want to put out there, into the world, and say that it's perfectly okay it's perfectly okay for men to have emotions, for men to have feelings, and for them to talk about them. And that's in due to why I am more closer to being closer to women than I am with men. Like, I have more friends that are women, that are than are men. Because I like talking about emotional experiences. I like talking about my feelings. But when you talk to men about that, it's like, I feel like it's not really getting, no offense to other men, but I feel like I'm not really reaching out with that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, yeah, I mean, we've talked about this before, but like, I think being a feeling type as a male in general is kind of ostracizing to a certain degree, especially like in Western society. You're not, I think it's becoming more so accepted, but you really are told that you have to suppress your emotions. You can't,
Yeah.
really you can't cry, you can't show certain things like that are feminine. And
Yeah.
the thing about people is everybody has like a feminine and masculine energy to them. Not everybody, like even the most masculine guy out there does have some femininity to him, and vice versa. And then there's just like such a deep spectrum. And this goes into like the neurodiversity thing, which again, it's different. Like this is a different topic, but it's just kind of accepting people for being different. So there
Hmm.
are less guys, especially less IEI guys out there than like, let's say, I don't know, like an ESTJ or something. But that doesn't that doesn't make you broken or unworthy of certain things just because you yourself have like a different personality that may present itself differently to the world.
Yeah. Like this is a reason why I struggle to get into relationships, is because this whole this whole um rhetoric that girls do not like good guys really puts a blow on that, puts a blow on me getting a relationship. But um I have been in a relationship, but it was not that it was not that it was not that successful, because she was not right. She was not right for me. But yeah, a lot of times is that um that's the reason why I struggled to get into relationships, is because of the whole societal expectation that women are to go to the ones that have the that are more, what society considers them more masculine. um but but I feel like that's why I struggled with the relationships, mainly because I felt like it was I felt like it was kind of because it was kind of because, like, I wasn't taking initiative. I wasn't the one. I'm not the one to assume power in relationships. Just to be sure here. I am more on the side I am more on the side of being the receptive one. And that's me as a person. Um so I I like to take on the receptive role, um as a guy. And I'm not ashamed of that. I'm putting that out in the open. But I feel like for many women, because of societal pressure, really really kind of puts me in a bad spot with that.
Yeah. Well, again, I think things are changing. Like, I mean, I also have friends, like male friends, that are like definitely, they do prefer a more dominant partner than they are. Um, and it's interesting because, like, I definitely have like a very submissive side to me, and like, and this is a video that I'm like very excited about like making eventually, is the different relation styles and like romantic styles between the types. But in Socionics, we would be considered the victims,
Yes.
which victims are, we do want to have like that knight in shining armor, especially like beta victims.
Yeah.
And other victims are going to be gamma. So like, okay, so if we're thinking in Socionics, the victims are IEI, EIE, LIE, and ILI are victims. And so those personalities, particularly beta, because LIEs and ILEs, I mean sorry, ILIs are quasi victims. So they're like, well, quasi aggressors. We want to be with someone that is more dominant, or just like will take the reins, because we are kind of these. I feel like beta and Fs are the epitome of what we think about when it's like the damsel in distress kind of scenario. Like, we would be the prince or princesses in the castle waiting for our knight to save us. And that definitely has its connotations when it comes to male male NFs, especially male beta NFs. I have a friend that is an EIE, and he also, like, I have seen him in a relationship where he was kind of silenced a little bit, which, by the way, this is an aside. I don't know if you saw the Meghan Markle and Harry interview with Oprah, but it just like popped in my mind of like, which is perfect because I believe Oprah is an EIE, but there's like this like sound bite that's like going viral on TikTok. It's, were you silent or were you silenced? It just reminds me of that. But anyways, he was like, it's very easy for especially beta NFs to be overpowered in a relationship, like especially I would say EIEs in particular, but II males for sure. But anyways, it's very interesting. So we do value that like kind of more aggressive type. Like my boyfriend is an ILI, which he is a quasi aggressor. So he comes off he definitely kind of took the role of the aggressor in the relationship. And this is like just a natural thing that will kind of step in line. But anyways, so it makes sense that you would be that way, but it's so different as a male versus as a female, because I think my victimness, and again, this is just a term, not like we're victims, like in a literal sense, but like in this relational diagram, we are victims. And I'm seeing, maybe not necessarily online, but especially in person, it's like I'm kind of celebrated for being this victim or like this damsel in distress type persona. And this is not something that like either of us, this is a natural thing. We are just, I mean, my whole life I've been like this. And especially with IEIs, it's so interesting, and I want to get into this in the future, is like getting into the differences between males and females in each type. But like, you're going to have way more of a challenging time as an IEI male versus me as a female, because again, my victimness is celebrated, whereas yours, it's celebrated by some people, but it's seen mostly by the public, at least in the Western world, as being different, and almost to some people, because it goes against societal norms, it's almost seen as repulsive to certain people, which I don't see it that way, but I bet you have experienced situations where you were kind of ostracized for that.
Yes, so. I have. I've been ostracized in the Christian church because of me telling them that I like to that I take on the submissive role to women. And they just like say, "Oh, that's not Christ-like." Like I just felt like hurt by that statement, because that's how I am to most of my female friends, is that I take on more of like the role of the student, more than me being the mentor. Like I just fall obedient to them with that. And a lot of times society sees that as being a pussy, or somebody that is like whipped, or somebody that is what Gen Z calls it is simping for women. But I don't simp. I
I
just
simp for you, Austin.
yes.
Okay,
um
so I want to. Sorry to interrupt you, but like, we have a lovely example of someone that is saying that you are an INTP, which is, I want to address this because this is something that Austin's gotten. But before that, on the Christ thing, this isn't Christ-like. Well, chances are, Jesus was an IEI, just like how it says in there. So you should say, well, according to,
yeah.
I think I'm more Christ-like than you, especially as an IEI male. But anyways, so Lolita asked, he sounds and acts 100% like an INTP and 0 like an INFJ. So this is something we were talking about in the very beginning. Oh, Lolita, just by the way, this is not meant to, like, I'm not trying to call you out like in a like argumentative thing. This is going to be just like a learning thing. So I don't think you were here in the very beginning when he was speaking about this, but Austin is neurodiverse. So he has autism, and this is actually a subject that actually kind of transitions into kind of, this is a topic all on its own, and we are going to speak with a few other people that are neurodiverse, particularly people that have autism, and their kind of journey in the typology community, because I have no doubt in my mind, I'm 99.9% sure that Austin is a IEI. And I understand why people would think that he is an INTP or something like that, but a lot of that has to do with him being neurodiverse. He's going to come across differently than like the typical IEI. But when you get down to the cognitive functions and the way that he interacts with the world and sees the world, and I'm not talking about behavioral, which, by the way, you should never type someone based on behavior. That's a whole aside, and I'm going to, I mean, behavior definitely plays a role in typology, but it should never be the primary role. But I'm going to get into that in like other videos or whatever. But this is a really good transition for Austin to speak about his, why a lot of people see him as like, you know, maybe an INTP. What was the other type that people have said?
Another type is INFp.
Okay, yeah, which is like, I feel like a lot of INFJs and Myers-Briggs, that's like a common mistyping. Like for the longest time, people saw me as like an INFp or an ISFP, and now like the primary thing that people like to type me as is an INTJ and Myers-Briggs, which I get that, especially because when I'm on videos, especially when I'm not interacting with someone, I have a very blank expression. But again, a lot of that is a trained blank expression. Some of it is actual natural expression, but that's something that, you know, whatever. I don't need to justify it, but it's it's very easy to see someone and be like, I'm not like this person, therefore they can't be that type, especially if you are that type, or if you feel like you know someone very close that is that type. It's just incredibly difficult to type people that you do not know. But anyways, we'll get into your experience in the typology community, being on the autism spectrum, being neurodiverse, and people thinking or having certain feelings about your type.
Yeah. So yeah, this is what I see. This is what I see. What's going on. This is what I see. What is a problem with the typology community, as a whole, is that it's not really accepting neurodiversity. In a way that there's many people in the typology community that will type people that will type like specific personality types as certain behavior disorders, cognitive disorders, as a specific type. Autism being the one that's stereotypically typed as INTP. And I feel like for me, when I got into the typology community, I kind of felt like I was a little out of the ordinary. It was a little out of the ordinary for me, because I was a neurotypical, neurodiverse. So what I saw there, is why I kind of like hid that. I kind of masked that autistic side of myself, and I pretty much did that throughout the typology community, because I felt like it wasn't accepted into the typology community. And that's why I came across people that were typing me wrong, that were typing me as INTP, INFp, pretty much any thinking type. I also got typed as INTJ once. So I feel like the typology community as a whole needs to accept neurodiversity. Needs to accept neurodiversity to its fullest, and it needs to stop with putting out stereotypes. It needs to like get away from the stereotypes, from the stereotypical behaviors.
Wait a second, sorry, Austin. Do you see what Logan commented? A real INTP would have definitely made $600 million. By the way, for those of you, because like probably most people do not get what Logan or Trees Neat is referring to. That's a whole conversation its own. But basically, Austin had a little woman crawl into his DMs one day, and like, I mean, just to kind of summarize the story, she was interested, we don't know, in Austin, and she said that if they were to marry, she would get $600 million from her dad. So we like riff on Austin a lot for that. Like it's a joke that is on our on the Discord. Again, Austin is an admin on my Discord, and Logan's also an admin actually. But yeah, so I just find that super funny. That was really sorry to interrupt you. Also, I saw some things about like visual typing. I think that okay, so I think that there's a lot of things that go into typing someone, and it kind of frustrates me a little bit. Which, by the way, Lolita, at least Austin and I mean, I'm speaking for Austin, but I'm pretty sure he'll say that this is the truth. Neither of us were offended by like the INFp comment, because that's something that Austin gets quite a bit, and that's actually something that we want to speak about more so in general. And I mean, as far as visual typing, I find visual typing to be very flawed personally. I think that there are certain things as far as like facial features and expressions that definitely go into this. And this is not something that I mean like this is across the board with all different races, ethnicities. This is not like, you know, whatever. But this is something that like I've seen across the board depending on like just on personality alone, not on anything other factor. But when it comes to like hand gestures or eye movements or different things, there are certain things that are going to be inherent for certain types, but still there are things that people can be taught. There are habits or behaviors that people can do over time, and they become quote unquote natural, or something that they do without like thinking about if it's something that has been something that they felt like they needed to train at a young age. So there's just so much that goes into personality theory, and that's why like I do want to offer a typing service in the future, but like I will never, and I know that not everybody does this, but there are people online that do this where they say, oh, this is completely your type. I don't think I would ever say to someone, and I'm not even going to say for myself, I'm not going to say for Austin, I'm not going to say for anyone, that I think 100%, no questions asked, there's no room for error, that you are this type. Like even with my own type, I'm 99.999% sure, just like how I am sure about Austin's type or certain people. But there's a lot of people that even I know, either if it's in person or online, that like I'm pretty sure of their type, or like I might have like a strong like think, okay, I'm like 85% sure of this person's type. But there's still such a margin of error there that I wouldn't feel 100% saying like, oh, I definitely think you're this type. I just think that there's so much bad from that, and especially like it really breaks my heart to see people, and I know that there's obviously like a clientele out there for this, or like obviously there's a reason these people make money, like an extreme amount of money, but there's some people out there that are literally charging people hundreds of dollars for a typing service that do not have a certification at all. Or like a coaching service, and like I guess you do you, but when it comes to personality theory, I feel like that is just like it's exuberant and crazy that people would pay that amount of money, but also it's like the person that's presenting it. It's like how I don't know. Don't even get me started about that. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. And when it comes to stereotypes, because I see like things about stereotypes and like other things like that, it's just such a nuanced thing. I personally like hate and love stereotypes. Like I think stereotypes are really funny, and I will talk about stereotypes, and I think there's some things that you can learn about from stereotypes. But obviously, when it gets down to the nitty-gritty of how someone is, like those stereotypes aren't always, a lot of people miss the nuance with stereotypes. Like they can't see them for what they are, which is like kind of a caricature of a personality, rather than like some people will look into that stereotype or look into that like whatever and only hold on to that. Like for example, ESFPs or SEEs in Socionics. I feel like, and I definitely want to make a video about them, but I feel like SEEs or ESFPs and Myers-Briggs are some of the most dogged on, like, misunderstood personalities that there are, because a lot of people see them as these partying type, and I even will present that stereotype because that's kind of like a stereotype that is, it is true. There are, like, that does tend to be a stereotype or like even like a reality when it comes to ESFPs. But at the other side of the coin, ESFPs are very philosophical and they have a lot of depth to them, especially if you look at them cognitively and just being close to those people. It just, like, it grinds my gears. People are so nuanced and people have so much to them other than, like, I don't know. Even within the different personalities, there are, I mean, even if, like, even between us, like Austin, even though we've had a very similar experience in a lot of ways, even though we are, obviously, I'm a female, you're a male. We grew up in similar-ish areas in the US. It's like we still have had certain differences. I'm not on the autism spectrum that I know of. And I know that alone will make things so different for you in your experience. And just being a male, just having things, going back to the whole like male feeler, you're going to have a completely different experience than like what I did. Like when I was in college, especially, and I just don't go out. And I also have a boyfriend, so this is the other thing. But like when I was in college, I used to have guys come up to me all the time and like sit with me, talk with me. Like I used to be asked out all the time when I was in college, and it was like I had a very like uh, dating was never an issue for me. It still isn't, but for you, you had a completely different experience because your experience wasn't celebrated like mine.
Yeah. That's correct. Yeah, I struggled. I struggled asking women out, but I did remember getting asked out by a girl once. This is in college, but that date never happened because of certain circumstances. But I really I really like being I really like being asked out. It really takes the pressure. It really takes the pressure off of me, off of the societal expectations that I'm supposed to take initiative, that I'm supposed to that I'm supposed to that I'm supposed to take on the role of the aggressor, when more so that I take on the role of the victim, of somebody that's more receptive, somebody that's more in that view of being more submissive in that way. But but yeah, society does look down on that, and I hope it's gonna change, and I hope it's gonna change in the future, because there's still toxic masculinity out there. There's still that there's still going to be that gender stereotype that we have to break with that. So yeah, in part of me being typed as INTP. I mean, I've had I saw a similar person. This person. So Faye, she got typed as INTP, and she is EIE in Socionics. And she's on the spectrum. So in a way, this is them typing off of a stereotype because when I come across INTPs, I come across as I like INTPs. They're in my benefit ring. But with INTPs, I don't have that same logic strength as they do, like other INTPs have. But for myself, I'm not really confident. I'm not really confident in my logic. I'm not really confident in TI, or I don't see the what INTPs see. I'm not the one that theorizes or or does anything like that. I'm more on the side of finding my own and finding a purpose, finding one answer, finding the answer to life. I don't go around theorizing. I go around and searching through rabbit holes for the meaning of life. And that's something that I kind of relate to the Alpha Quadra a bit, is that I do want to have that I do want to be accepting of other people, but it's not in the way that alphas do. It's more in the way of I accept all people, no matter how good or bad they are, what society sees them as. I will accept them into my life, and part of me as being a beta is that I do see that people that have committed crimes still deserve a second chance of life, still deserve to live in society, no matter how bad or good they are. They're still people. They're and I can say the same for Donald Trump. Even though that he's committed a lot of crimes, I still think he should have a second chance of doing it over, of um, living another life, in a way. So in that way, I resonate with the dark side, as much as the light side. So it's all about finding a balance between good and evil, with that. So that's what I see as a person. And yeah, I just don't really relate identically to INTPs, like I do with INFJs.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of like, I don't know. I feel like at the end of the day, it does typology or just personality theory in general. There's a lot to it, but like really studying it and really feeling like you understand it, and not only that, but like having like in-person experiences with people, I feel like is a way of um that's a way of kind of cementing your type more so. Also, I saw in the chat that people are talking about like the typology community and having issues with it and stuff. Um, I've definitely, I mean, as a lot of the people, well, maybe not a lot of the people watching, but like maybe a good handful of the people that are watching, kind of, they knew my channel when it first started, or at least when it was in its infancy. And I still think it is, like, in a lot of ways, but I took a long break from YouTube. And that was like, I mean, I've talked about this so many times and there's no reason to like super rehash it, but like I do want to make a video about like the issues with the typology community in general. But like there was a point in time where I definitely relate with you, Austin, on the whole idea of like feeling like you're not being seen or feeling kind of ostracized. I've seen that in the community as well. And that had to, like, part of it was bit I bit the hand that fed me, in the sense that, like, I mean, then a notorious thing that happened was like,
I'm back.
okay. Was that the second time your dad's done that?
Yeah.
That's funny. Kind of just like, I mean, when you're dating someone that's like big in this community, that's why like I, for now on, like just trying to be more private in like my dating life and stuff. And like that was a huge issue at the time. It definitely took a huge toll, like having this, like the most notable figure in this community like not want anything to do with me. And even, I mean, I even had people, and I don't know if this is still the way, but like at the time, there were people that refused to work with me in the typology community because I broke up with this person. So for example, and I don't mind calling this channel out, like it's no hate to them and there's no reason to say anything to this channel, but like Love Who, which used to be Love You Lou, I had different interactions with these people. It used to be this girl, this one woman that was on there that like she started the channel, and I actually found her channel like years before she actually like really started it. Like I saw her initial ESTP video, and I was one of the first people to, I actually think I might have been the first person to reach out to her about doing an interview, even before she had like a lot of subscribers. I think she had, I want to say less than 100 subscribers or something like that. Or maybe, I don't know. It was a very small number of people. And like, you know, I just like doing these interviews because it's interesting to see people from a different perspective, have interactions with people all over the world. But this person, she messaged me on Instagram one time because I could tell that there was something off. And she just basically said, and this was after she had just done a video with my ex, and she said that she thought that I was a bad person and she didn't want to work with me. And then her person that now takes over the channel, he also like messaged me. It was like a lot of back and forth, and he just kind of made it clear that he did not want to work with me. And that all had to do with the fact that I was, you know, obviously broke up with that person. And there were other people in this community that were bigger creators at the time that, because of my even talking about that situation or experiencing that breakup, just again, people did not want to talk with me, didn't want to do videos with me, didn't. And like what I should have done at the time is I should have just not listened to those people, because like I don't claim to be like this like holier than thou person or like the best person out there. Like I don't think of myself as like a good person or like even a nice person. But like, you know, I know who I am to a certain degree. Like I know what I have done and what I haven't done. And I don't feel like at the end of the day I need to justify it to those people. But it did really hurt to feel like I was just kind of cast aside. And I really should have just leaned into like my subscribers and the people that did support me. But I did fall into that kind of comparison game. I did fall into the whole like seeing people that just kind of left me, just said like whatever. I also had experience with people that I thought were my friends in the typology community that weren't really friends. They were just like trying to collab because they wanted to, expand their channel more. And so all of those realizations really hit me like a ton of bricks, to the point that even though I was getting pretty good views at the time, and that's not like, who cares really at the end of the day, like how many views I got, but like people did engage in my channel, and it's like I really just should have thought about my subscribers rather than think about what other people thought, because I'm not always going to be liked by everybody. And that's something that, as especially beta NFs, something that we in general struggle with, especially EIEs, but IEIs also struggle with this too, is like a feeling of people pleasing, a feeling of wanting people to like you. And that was something that I struggled with for the longest time. And so, yeah, I took a break and I'm back, and it's good to be back, and it's good to have the community. And I don't know. It just, yeah, there were other reasons too, but yeah. Sorry to always keep on doing these little asides, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I completely took off my my typology videos and just like went to a different direction. Felt like it wasn't for me. And that's why I got into astrology and tarot. And I feel like I have more of a I feel like I'm more confident in explaining that than explaining socionics and MBTI and all that. And it just feels a lot more, it just feels a lot more naturally to me to do that. So that's why I had that shift in direction.
Yeah. Well, and it's hard. I feel like this community, even though like I feel like the people that are subscribed to me for the most part, and the majority of the people I interact with, or like we interact with in general, are pretty good. There's also those people that are kind of just mean for no reason, and just like really just want to critique you, and do things that, I don't know. I mean, it's hard. And even though like, I mean, both of us can relate to this, like being reactive, like as children. I
Yeah.
was so reactive as a child. Like, I mean, even though like it doesn't seem like it right now, I am like, I could easily cry at this moment in time. Um, and I've really had to control my anxiety, like to a point where it does look a certain way. And I don't know. It's something that I think people just lack to remember, that people are people. We're not these, like, even though you may just see us on a screen, we're people. We have emotions, we have feelings, like we have lives, we are imperfect. We, all of these different things that everybody experiences. And it's just so interesting the way that the structures work, even online, of how like things are kind of, how things transpire and how people interact with one another is just very interesting. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I got into MBTI, is because I felt like my soul was like calling out at that time. So that's why at the end of the day, at the end of the day, we need to really, I feel like some of the people that are in the typology community aren't in it for the right reason. Just like others that are in the spirituality community, which I'm also in, they're not in it for the right reason as well. But for others that wanna make typology videos just for the sake of spreading misinformation or manipulating people or getting people to do things that they shouldn't do. They're not in the typology community, and that they don't they shouldn't be doing that. Much as well with the spirituality community is that I see that there's people that will give half-assed tarot readings or half-assed astrology readings, and they will use it to have power over that person, to have. So this isn't reason why I'm going to be doing a video on Saturday with somebody about the uses of tarot and the stigma of tarot. Is that I feel like it's being painted in a bad light because it's being shown in the media as a bad light, as something that people use, like stereotypically witches use it for their gain. But really, what I use tarot for is a method to escape the real world, to escape what chaos is going on in the world. And I feel like everybody in this time, when we're in the middle of a pandemic, is doing that, is trying to find means of escape, trying to find so that 12th house energy going into escape. So that in terms is why I feel like typology. So number one, typology community needs to be more accepting of other people, not just a handful of people. All people. Accept diversity, neurodiversity, and put away the stereotypes. So one of the stereotypes that autism is portrayed is that people with autism have trouble can't really express emotions. I find that to be false. I can express my emotions. I can express my emotions how I want. I can express anger. I can express love. I can express pain. I can express sadness. But typology community sees it as a different light. But I feel like neurodiversity needs to be more put into the community in order for it to be more accepting of people. That's why it's kind of like, that's why people kind of like feel alienated from that. So So I'm not sure how to go on with this, but um how to go on um onto making it better for neurodiverse people. I'm not sure. So like maybe making a YouTube video or something like that, but there needs to be awareness. Um there needs to be awareness to that, and all people need to be seen. Not just a handful of people, not just a handful of people, but all people need to be seen in that community. And that's how I feel, and that's how I feel towards the world as well, with that. Um so yeah. I recently got back. I recently got back into typology and started helping out more in these typology communities, um, but it's not in the way that others would do it. It's more like in a way of being support, and just like go and just like staying in my own lane, not merging into anybody else's lane, not having this imposter syndrome, but but doing doing the supportive role as well as maintaining my current role with my YouTube.
Yeah. I I mean, I understand that, like, staying in your lane. I mean, even though, like, I am, like, more so in the, like, at least publicly in the typology community, I feel like I'm staying in my lane in the sense that instead of like, before, I felt like I had to be, like, more in a community, like, where I was even interacting with other creators in this community and all of those things. Like I still do to a certain degree, but it's not like it used to be. And I just really simply don't care what other people think. I'm not like looking at other people's content and comparing myself to their content. We have a completely different journey. Um it's just not helpful. If I could say this to anybody, and it doesn't matter what it is, like what you're doing on YouTube, do not compare yourself to other people. Don't compare yourself to me. Don't compare yourself to Austin. Don't compare yourself to Joe down the street. Like you have to stay in your own lane, so to speak, in the sense of like just being on your own path as well. Like in the past year, in 2020, I decided to download TikTok, which I never thought that I would be on TikTok. I know that Austin also has a TikTok as well, but that has been a really fun outlet for me. I've posted a few of my TikToks on YouTube as well, and that has taken off a lot more than my YouTube channel, at least when it comes to like numbers and whatever. And I think it's partly to do with the fact that I have a lot of fun on there and I am trying to help people that are newer to typology on there and like trying to build a community there. But the thing I really like about TikTok is you really don't feel this sense of like, I mean, maybe some people do, but because the feed is so different, you don't feel this sense of comparison to other people as much. And I don't know. I just find it really cool, and I find it very expansive because like someone has an idea and then you are encouraged to expand on that idea. And it's really interesting. But yeah, I agree, Austin, and what you're doing with your channel, and I'm very proud of you. I mean, obviously I've been following along your journey, but it's really cool to see you transition into where you are on your channel now and really diving into that. And he goes live quite a bit, doing tarot card readings and different things when it comes to like different questions that people have about like astrology or other spiritual things. And it's really cool to see you do that. And what's what's really awesome is the fact that you, even though I'm sure you do compare yourself in some ways and you do see other creators in your field, you are still working towards your own goals. You have your website, you have like certain things that you're working towards, and I think that's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one good thing about 2020 is that I found my own direction, and I didn't need to be on anybody else's direction or be on a imposter syndrome with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I agree with this. It's the journey, not the destination. Enjoy the ride. I mean,
Yeah.
it really is. It's like you really, no matter who you are, you just cannot compare yourself to other people. And there's like so many factors into like success. But there's a way different, there's there's such a difference between success and fulfillment. Even though I personally, my version of success is, and I think it's pretty much a lot of people's versions of success, but like I think that kind of correlates more with fulfillment than just being like the numbers, the money, you know, living in a certain area, whatever. At the end of the day, like there are certain people that I know personally, that I do not envy. Like, even though I know that they have become very successful, or like, you know, I see like there are people that I know in real life that are deemed as successful, but at the end of the day, they are miserable. You know, they have to deal with their own demons. Everybody does, but it's their life is just, it's more for show rather than like living a fulfilling life. And I would much rather be seen as lesser than by like when it comes to success than not be fulfilled in life.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And and I would do the same for other people that want to start YouTube channels. I would just say find your own niche. Do not go on and intimidate other person's niches. I've came across people that do that, and I've had a person that has like I've had a person that's came across my channel and started doing lives, but he was not getting the success that I was getting, and he was pretty much dealing with imposter syndrome. And like the only difference there is that I give free readings on on with the occasional that with letting donation with like letting payments come in. But this person who I will not name because I want them completely blocked from my life. This person pay, like he did a live stream where he was like charging $10 for for a tarot reading, and he just got into tarot. And I was like looking at that. Hey, I was like looking at that, and I was like, wow, that's not good. That's that's not a good thing at all. And then I come to recognize that he was jealous of my success on YouTube, because I was getting like hundreds to 200 views on my live streams, and he was getting like 30 to 40. And so he started like this whole holding grudges against me because of this jealousy that he had. And I remember giving him advice, and then I gave him that advice, and he was kind of like mad at me because I told him like, hey, you can't do you can't force people to pay $10 just for like you getting just getting a tarot. And he gone off on me, and he was like, and I was like, I looked at his channel. I looked at his channel before, and he was doing gaming channel. He was doing gaming videos, and those videos were astronomical. And he was like getting like 500 to 600 views on those, and I was like, maybe he should maybe do more on the line. He should maybe do more on the line of that than him getting into my lane, into other people's lanes. And it's all about finding your niche, finding what resonates with your soul, not what resonates with the world, resonates with your soul. And I know for certain that your channel resonates with your soul, that that's what you're doing. But there's a lot of people that do things that really don't resonate with themselves, and they just go on and have imposter syndromes, and they go on and having hidden grudges against people that they are jealous about or they compare themselves to. So I just invite everyone, if you want to start something, if you want to start a YouTube channel, if you want to start a blog, start making music or something like that, go within yourself, look within yourself, and you can find what content will resonate with you, what content will allow you to be more yourself, rather than just living in imposter syndrome on that.
I mean, I definitely think you can still have imposter syndrome and be doing something that you really love. Like, I feel like I've definitely had experienced imposter syndrome. And I don't know. I mean, I agree with you to an extent, but I think that, like, for certain people, let them do what they want to do. But I think at the end of the day, what isn't healthy for those people, whether they want to do that or not, like, I mean, it really isn't our place to necessarily decide why people are in things. We can definitely speculate on that, but like at the same time, I think where it gets like dangerous, not really dangerous, but like where it gets like unhealthy is when you do overly compare yourself to other people and you are actively trying to work against other people to like heighten yourself. Because at the end of the day, and this is really something hard to like, I feel like a lot of things are common sense but not common practice, where like even when it comes to comparison, it's like there is enough to go around. When it comes to YouTube, there isn't a limited amount of people that you could subscribe to. There isn't like I don't know. It's like, why try to compete with other people? And I'm saying this for myself because I definitely have been in that comparison loop. I definitely have, been, even though I don't feel like I am a typically jealous person, I've definitely been jealous before. And it's also easy to look at certain people and just like kind of feel like their intention is pretty obvious and like maybe it's not really a good intention and like feel a little bit, you know, like taken aback by the support that certain people get, even though maybe their intention is not good. But at the end of the day, it's like it is easy to get caught up in even in that loop. But I think the best advice is just to realize, especially on YouTube, especially with people you do not know in real life, it's really easy to get caught up with certain people that maybe aren't even friends with you or associating with you for the right reasons. Or, it's so easy to disconnect yourself from people you have never met before. And or like in person, and it's so easy to compare yourself and just like not realize that everybody has a very unique experience and you don't know what their skills are, what they're doing behind the scenes, um to make this like whatever a reality. I think that's really easy to like kind of, it's really easy to disassociate on the internet. I mean, comparison happens definitely in real life, but I feel like it's even more of like a um, huge thing online, especially with social media and having filters on things and like having Photoshop, having editing softwares, all different things to make people come across a certain way. At the end of the day, it's like, again, people are people and there's enough to go around. There's an abundance of opportunities out there. And so there's no reason to put someone else down or like feel like you need to stomp on someone else's dreams or like push them away in order to promote yourself. Um, and it's easier said than done. Like it very much is easier said than done. Um, but yeah, I've definitely experienced things like that. Like when I used to do the interviews back in the day, and like this is something that I just don't even, like if people do it, whatever. I mean, if this happens again. But like there were certain people that I interviewed that it was just really like they just wanted a platform to like be out there a little bit more. And it wasn't like they were necessarily doing the interview for like the best intentions. But at the same time, it's like, who am I really to judge at the end of the day, unless they've directly done something to me or like hurt someone. Um, you know, it's, yeah, it's just not my place. But yeah, I mean, more than anything, I think it's so important to just know yourself and try to be the best version of yourself that there is. Um, but yeah, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Like, yeah, putting a comparison on other people is such a dangerous thing. It's like you're isolating yourself from yourself with that um because you're pretty much placing your identity on that other person rather than you placing your identity on yourself. It's more like you're placing that identity on the other person. That's what causes that imposter syndrome, and that's so. Don't compare yourself to others. Don't compare myself. Don't compare yourself to me. Don't compare yourself to Emily. Just be you. Just be the best version of you. Um, just be yourself. Um, and don't compare yourself to others. Don't try to I mean it's hard not to do that I know a lot of people do, but it's important to do that.
Yeah. Also, I mean, I've talked about this and I'm not gonna like highlight it too much because I feel like these people like this. But like, I also find it so bizarre, like, to watch a YouTube video. Like, I just looked at our video and we have like a few dislikes. It's like, why would you go on a video and dislike it? Um, you're not doing any, like, you're really not doing anything. If you don't like the video, the best thing you can do is to click away. Because you're engaging with the video, you're giving it more engagement on the video. It's like, why do you need to negatively show that you do not like something? Like, I mean, why do you have to have this physical representation? But like, to each their own. I personally don't dislike videos, but that's because I just don't believe in putting out like negative energy. I mean, even
Yeah.
though I definitely do put out negative energy, I'm not perfect, but I don't go out of my way to just try to like be mean towards people, or at least I try not to. Um, it's just kind of interesting. Like I've never understood that like mentality to go on to someone's thing and not just dislike. I mean, dislike is fine, I guess. Like at the end of the day, it doesn't really bother me. Again, it gives more engagement to the video, but it's like the psychology behind it and like
Yeah.
also just writing a mean comment or just like being rude in general. Like, why do you feel the need to do that? And that's why, like, uh, when it comes to like people online, I've always wanted to do a meetup, a public meetup where it was safe, because I really would like to see people in person that like may like me, may have issues with me or whatever, but just kind of level at a human, like be human to human rather than looking at someone online that is there for your entertainment or whatever you do, like whatever reason you look at a YouTube video or like for education, for whatever it is, and just like see them as a person rather than see them as like this passive thing that they see in their life, I guess. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So I it used to bother me that I was getting like dislikes on my videos, but now it really doesn't matter to me because I really don't care what other people think. Um, I really I used to do that. I used to be a people pleaser. I still am, but not to the extent where I was like putting my identity on other people. Now I'm putting my identity on myself. Um, this is what Enneagram says that the growth point for 9 is for 9 is to go to a 3. Um, so I really don't care what other people think as long as I know, because 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 they're watching, because I feel like they're watching my video. Like I don't care. I don't care if they like it or I I don't care that they dislike it. I care that they like it. I really care about my subscribers. I do everything for them in that sense, but as much as what other people think, it's like I'm I'm like withdrawn from that. I'm withdrawn from that because a why should I care what a person that I don't know thinks about me, rather than what a person that I do know thinks about me. So it's it's I stopped seeking validation from others, more than I'm seeking validation from myself. This is what's helping me with my self-love issues. I still have self-love issues to this day, but it's not to the extent where I'm just like putting myself down. It's more like, hey, if people don't like me, it's okay. They can go on. I know there's other people that will like me. They're just they're just another person. There's other people in the world. There's like hundreds of millions of people in the world. Why should I care what one person that that I don't know um that I don't know um doesn't like me. I know there's like more people more people in the world that like me, and it's all about seeking validation from God, from the universe, from yourself, from your from and other things like that. I don't much seek validation from others as much now. And this is me stepping into my own power. If they don't like it that I'm visible, if they don't like it that I'm seen, then 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 tough shit. I'm here. I'm here in this world. I'm here in this world, and you can't do anything about it with that.
Yeah. I mean, I love the quote, someone else's opinions of me are none of your or are none of my business. Like I love that. Because they really aren't. And it really is a projection. A lot of things in life are projection from other people. And I try not to project on other people. Like it's not something that I feel like I do like I definitely have certain thoughts about people, but like I try not to be judgmental or different things. And I think for the most part, I'm pretty open to people. Like very rarely will I judge someone like the first time that I meet them. Or like it takes a while for me to like really feel like, okay, yes. Um, like I'll have certain feelings about people or certain like intuitive thoughts about situations, but it and I definitely have my own opinions about people. I definitely have engaged in gossip. I've engaged in like unhealthy behaviors before. Everybody has, especially betas, but that's apart from I mean that's kind of like an area that we do. The theater is where we thrive. And just like in those group dynamics. But at the same time, I don't know. It's like, yeah, it gets down to just kind of loving yourself, like you said. And part of that journey is to try not to compare yourself. I think you should look to others and I think you should accept like criticism. Like I'm definitely open to constructive criticism, but like even at that, it's like you have to take everything with a grain of salt. Even like the positive things that you hear from people.
Yeah.
Like I think it's also on the other side of things, people can be very overly critical, but also people can hype you up or celebrate certain people for things that, you know, at the end of the day, maybe they shouldn't really be celebrated for, or like maybe they need to take a closer look at what they're doing. And I think any kind of reaction that you get from someone, you have to just realize that a lot of it is their own projection and a lot of it is their experience, their unique experience in life. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely see that. Within my life. And that's due to the people that say bad things about me getting into tarot because they say I'm doing they see it's more aligned to the devil, which is what I'm gonna do on Saturday for this video, is that tarot is tarot. Tarot's not. I'm so over the rhetoric of that tarot's witchcraft. I'm not putting the label of any religion on myself anymore. I am mainly putting myself on as a spiritual person, as a spiritual person who loves God, and I'm not putting myself into any box. So what I gotta say there is that I really don't care. I really don't care anymore, because it's an age-old rhetoric, and where does it come from? And where does this hatred of terror come from? Where does this hatred of astrology comes from? It comes from the Catholic Church. It comes from people that so there is nothing you don't invoke spirits with tarot. I can just say that. But what I gotta say there is that tarot is an intuitive tool. It's not mainly a spiritual tool. Astrology is an intuitive tool. It can be used for good and evil, just like whatever can be used for evil. So what I gotta say there, Eli, is that there's a lot more evil in this world than tarot and astrology. There's a lot more evil out there, and for you to care, and for you to put that out there into the universe, that what you don't know. I'm assuming that you don't know. I'm assuming that you don't know about tarot, that you don't know about that astrology, but you need to open the book. You need to open the book of your mind, and stop being open-minded. But this is why I'm saying I'm simply spiritual.
Yeah.
Nothing
So,
more, nothing less.
without getting like, yeah, and I mean, I see both sides of the coin here when it comes to that. And this isn't about like necessarily calling people out in the comments, but I understand that that is a frustration that that you've that definitely experiencing. But I would also say to that, kind of getting away from that topic, I mean, personality theory can be used like for evil as well. Like there are people out there that use it to manipulate people, and like there are people out there that are very open about that, and yet people still support those people, and they still like will buy their products even though they show that they do it for manipulation. And so even though I can see, like, I understand, especially coming from the standpoint of being Christian, um, there's there are definitely some pitfalls, and there are people that are in the astrology or tarot card reading or whatever in those communities that do it for a bad reason. I think you can't lump everyone together in the same group, just like how you can't lump everyone that's interested in personality theory as being like with the sole purpose of manipulating people. Like, I don't know. It really comes from intention, and at the end of the day, we are not. I mean, I'm also, I don't know if you want to call it religious, spiritual. I mean, I definitely am religious too. I'm Catholic. And I know that that's kind of like the wrong type of Christian for a lot of people. And I don't really talk about like Catholicism a lot with people, especially online. But it's like I am not I'm not the person to judge someone. At the end of the day, there's other powers that will judge you. It's not down to a person. And yeah. And not to get religious on here, but it's interesting. Um but yeah, that being said, I think that we should probably wrap this up soon, just because this has been going on a lot longer than I thought it would.
Yes.
It's been going okay, so like I'm trying to limit the interviews to about an hour, which this is
Yeah.
obviously almost 3 times longer than what I wanted. But yeah. Um is Are there any kind of closing thoughts, like apart from the whole like debate, because I know you could definitely debate the whole astrological and tarot card reading thing. Like apart from that, and just like being in INFJ, IEI, and Socionics, and like having your experiences, or just you as a person, what are some things that you kind of want to close this interview with?
Um, what I want to close here is that I'm here to serve my sole purpose, and also with me, um and also with me um I'm here to understand myself. I'm here to understand others, and I am open to opinions, but that's pretty much all with that. So I'm pretty much me. I am myself, um, and and I identify with myself. Um, so so what I gotta say about that. Um, what I gotta say that about that. I just want to answer. I just want to answer a question from Christopher. Um, I feel like I relate to that. I feel like I relate to that to an extent.
Yeah.
Um, because because a lot of times I have a this is the reason why I stay like silent in typology like in Discord when they're talking about typology or they're talking about theory about other things, is that I want to speak to where I feel confident. I want to speak to where I feel like I don't want to where I feel like I don't want to be dumb, um like in that sense. But yeah, just closing off um is that is that accept neurodiversity, accept just accept male, just normalize males, normalize normalize males that are emotional, that are feelers, that are sensitive, um and don't look down upon them, and and just just accept them as they are. And that's what I got to say about that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Austin, for coming on. Like I said, I mean, there's so much more we could talk about. Like, I mean, we could do a whole video on neurodiversity, and we're going to have more people speaking about it, and also just like the typology community in general.
Yeah.
So definitely, guys, if you let us know what you think in the comments below after this video is like processed or whatever and it's available on YouTube. Um, because the chat, I mean, we can definitely access the chat, but it's something I would prefer if people leave comments just so more people can see them and like other people can engage. And then also, if you want to be interviewed, just send me an email and I can send you the Calendly link. I'm always looking for different personalities, especially personalities that I've never interviewed, but I'm also going to interview like there's several people of the same type that I'm going to interview. And I just think it's a really good way of like seeing how people are similar but also different and having different experiences and just having a more real world example of how people are rather than just relying on stereotypes or kind of controlled videos. And just, I'm also gonna answer Christopher's question. Um, I also agree with Austin in the sense of like wanting to feel competent and things. Like, it took me a very long time to go out there and post videos about like typology. And like, I wasn't doing it from a sense of like wanting to type like wanting to be in a typology community because there really wasn't like a huge typology community when I first posted my videos. It was just an interest that I've had for like a long time. And I also used to watch like Michael Pierce, EJR&D, all different like YouTubers back in the day that used to post typology videos, but there wasn't that community that there is today. And it really like partly why I don't speak on certain topics is because I want to feel like I understand them like as much as I can and like feel very competent, like kind of go through the competent confidence loop. And it's just boggles my mind like that there are people um that have channels, which I guess Austin, you were kind of this way, but like that really try to be an authority on MBTI or like personality theory that have only been studying it for like a few months or like even a year or whatever. I mean, everybody has a different journey, but like I think for most people, it is a very long process. Like I've been studying this stuff since I was 16, and that doesn't mean like the whole time I was studying it, but like actively interested in it for at least the better part of like 8 or 9 years, maybe even longer than that. And like I've been interested in socionics since I was 19. So I do feel like I have an authority on certain things, or I feel more confident with like explaining cognitive functions, not even just from a theoretical standpoint, because I think there's so much out there that is theoretical, but more of a like I've had the chance to go down the theoretical rabbit hole, work with the theories. Like I have my own like way of understanding socionics in my mind. Like I have charts and systems in my mind that I look at, just like up here, that I can pull up, and it's to the point where I have had so many years of experience in person with people, rather than feeling like I need to justify like theoretical language, because I'm not always like, sometimes I forget like terminology or like certain terms for things, not the cognitive functions, but like certain things that people like to make them sound more intelligent or more knowledgeable on a certain subject, which not everybody does that, but like I rather talk about things from a dissected level of like a running hypothesis, and um, coming at it from more of a human level rather than like the theoretical level, which I am still doing. It's just I've had the years and the experience of dissecting it. I don't know if that makes sense. And that's where I want to come at things, especially when it comes to like explaining the cognitive functions, explaining how personalities work. Because I think a lot of people, it is a newer interest for them. Um, Especially people that have only been doing it for like, I don't know. Like especially I've seen people that have only been doing it for less than a year or so, and then they come on YouTube or whatever and act as an authority, and by all means they can learn a lot in that. But the difference between someone like that and then someone like myself or other people that have been in this community, not community, but like have been like actively studying or like interacting with socionics or MBTI in person, is just the level of nuance and experience that you have engaged with, and like just really working on that running hypothesis. I think that's interesting. Um, but yeah. Okay. Emily, the more FE you have, the more you'd be inclined to judge, though. Um, no, that's not true. So, feeling and thinking are those are like judging functions. So if you lead with feeling, that is a judging function. Like if you lead with thinking, that is a judging function. But both Austin and I lead with introverted intuition, which intuition and sensing are perceiving functions. So I think there's like a very convoluted way that Myers-Briggs likes to represent the functions, and like it really messes up the introverts, because what we perceive as like judging versus perceiving is not really what it truly is at the core level. Perceiving isn't like, oh, I'm like this messy person, like I'm gonna come across as like whatever, or like judging isn't like I'm so uptight and like always organized. I think that's what it's seen in Myers-Briggs, but there's so much more to it. And I agree that introverted feeling is a lot more judging than extroverted feeling. There's a difference, like they're both judging, but introverted feeling is a lot more nitpicky about feelings and emotions and the way that things are constructed, because it's on individual morality, whereas extroverted feeling is way more on the atmospheric and collective approach to emotions and the emotional atmosphere, where you can also like see that with extroverted thinking versus introverted thinking. So yeah, anyways, that being said, I am so thankful to have you, Austin. This is I'm hoping that I don't have many interviews this long, but I'm glad that this long interview was with you because it's been a long time coming, and I've enjoyed the whole process. It's just crazy that it's already past 3 hours. So I also thank everybody that is in the comments that or in the chat that has been commenting. It's been interesting to kind of look at your insights while we've been doing the interview. And like I said, if you guys are interested in doing an interview, or if you have someone in mind that you would like me to interview, let me know. Let me know in the comments. Email me, whatever you want to do. And also, again, check out Austin's channel. And for the people that are checking out Austin's channel, I hope that those people are being nice and doing it for like the right reasons, because Austin's really trying to build something in his own. And yeah, so
Yeah, thank you for having me, Emily. It's been, yeah, I felt like I was gonna end up on your channel at some point.
well, and you obviously have been on the channel before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which also, this is really funny. I mean, this is random, very random. My sister, like, I know that Billy G is on here. I don't think I've ever said this, and this is kind of a random like fact about me. Is my sister calls me Billy, so like that's my nickname from my sister. Like, nobody else calls me Billy besides my sister, but like I also am called Billy, which is really random. But yeah. So, yeah, Austin, thank you so much for being on. This has been really awesome. I feel like it has really opened up a conversation to people, especially with the neurodiversity, and just having something like having a different type of conversation than what I think a lot of people are used to in the typology community. And I understand about feeling burnt out with the typology community. And it's like, that's why like we just have to do it our own way, and we just can't think about like,
Yeah.
you know, the stereotypical things. I don't really engage in forums. I'm not on a lot of, I'm only on my Discord, and it's not because like, oh, I just want to be on my Discord. It's just I find that I get kind of frustrated when I'm too in the typology thing with people that are in it for different reasons, and I'd rather just stay to my own and kind of be with people that are not necessarily like-minded, but like have certain goals in mind, or like certain insights to bring to the table. And I'm always open to talk with people that are different than myself. But yeah, so well, Austin,
Yeah,
thank you so
awesome.
much.
Thank you so much for having me.
I love as you, Austin. And I mean, yeah. I really like, I know that like we've been trying to wrap this up for a while. But like I really was so excited to do this interview. But yeah, anyways, bye-bye guys. Thank you guys for watching, and let us know how you felt about this interview in the comments. Bye.
All right.